I've been married 4 times. I've had 4 different wives.
Wow.
Very good question. I await to the answer.
Today's gonna be a little black love on the show. For 2 people to be so well accomplished and still doing so much ambitious in life and striving for so much and still being able to stay together and be married, we are rocking here with a world champion, a 2-time Super Bowl champ. All right? Get it right, y'all. All right? And Mr. and Mrs. Ross.
Marriages don't work comes to reality TV. Be honest?
Of course.
Okay. After retirement, your world just kind of comes to an end. I was in a depression for about 2 years. Because I was changing so much, I wanted a different wife.
I like that. I like that.
Honoring your husband.
Yes.
I heard that so many times.
Making sure he is fed, loved, supported, and sexed.
Okay, good.
Often.
Y'all heard that, ladies?
So what are y'all doing to fortify
Yes.
your marriage?
This was a damn therapy session.
Yeah.
If you find that right one, rock with it.
Welcome to Hardly Initiated. It is your host, Tyshawn Jackson, here with another episode of my co-host, Ryan Ketchens.
I just want to say I think we're moving up in the world.
Yes.
Can I? Is that? It's official, right?
That is fair, brother. That is fair.
Yeah.
Because today it's going to be a little black love on the show. All right?
That's what they've been asking for.
That's what they've been asking for. Y'all be asking us for our guests. We be taking notes. We be writing it. Shout out to our membership. We listen. And look who we got here. Look at this here. We are rocking here with a world champion, a two-time, right? Two-time Super Bowl champ. All right? Get it right, y'all. All right?
Elite.
And Mr. and Mrs. Ross, welcome to Hardly Initiated.
Thanks for having us. What a welcome.
That was a good introduction,
yes, we're
man.
excited to be here.
I like that.
Yeah.
Tashawn, you keep smooth today. I like that.
Man, listen, I'm excited. First of all, y'all don't understand how hard it'd be to coordinate with these busy folks, y'all.
Yes.
Y'all don't know what we had
You
to
can't
do.
start by calling us out now.
I'm just saying,
You know
like,
what I'm
it's
saying? Like,
this was on the
it
calendar.
has been a struggle. You're right.
Yeah.
It's been a struggle.
But we do this for y'all because I really feel like it's a lot. I fought hard for this because I know it's a lot to take away.
Oh, thank you.
For 2 people to be so well accomplished and still doing so much ambitious in life and striving for so much and still being able to stay together and be married for as long as y'all have been.
I like that. I like that.
I know y'all know something that the world don't know.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it today, okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Now you know I do my research. I've seen a lot of the interviews, but I still don't. I don't want to skip over this because y'all tell y'all love story a lot.
Yeah.
But my audience might ain't seen it.
Sure.
All right. So we're gonna go into that a little bit.
Yep.
Because one thing I like about this love story here is that although we sitting here with a real brother, it's like a real masculine brother right here. It's, you know what I'm saying?
A real alpha.
Right. Like it's a real brother here, but still, Sanya was the one that went ahead and shot the shot.
Yes.
At this brother over here. And a lot of the ladies, because look, we do a live show on Monday and Wednesday nights, and ladies are pretty apprehensive as it relates to going out. They feel like they shouldn't pursue or be aggressive in that way. And, you know, I'm like, you know, but you got to go after what you want, right? So tell me about that. Tell me about what made you want to go ahead and pursue in that way.
So first of all, I just want to preface it by saying I do think there should be balance. I don't think that women should always be out there like putting themselves out there, but I do think that there are appropriate times where you let a man know what you want.
Okay.
And
Tell them about that appropriate time.
and we were young. I mean, we were in college, right? We're in college. I'm sitting, we're in the cafeteria, and my sister and I are eating, and he walks in, and I'm like, damn, he is fine, bro. Like, he cute. So he comes over, and I'm like, hey, and I call him over, and I'm like, what's your name? And he's playing like super shy, super cool. He's like Aaron Ross, and I'm like, oh. All right, well, nice to meet you. And the funny story is that when he told me his first name, I literally had just broken up with another Aaron. Like we had like literally a month ago. So when he told me his first name, I was like, oh no.
Oh, yeah, I already know.
Yeah, we all experienced that before.
Yeah.
Sucking the teeth, rolling the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I definitely am not dating another Aaron right now. So it was funny because I was very attracted to him when I first saw him. And then when he told me his name, but I didn't say anything to him or anything. So he kind of walked off real cool. And a couple of days later, we have a friend in common, And he was like, yo, well, you could tell your part, but he's like, he did all this research on me and all this stuff, whatever. And then, followed up with me. But for me, yes, it was about just like, as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh my God, he's that guy. And I want to meet him.
Okay. And you literally called him over.
Yeah, I was like, yo, you. Over here.
Okay.
I like that.
And the thing is, I still think he has this like cool walk where it's just like he just like kind of glided over to me like what's up, cutie?
Girl, all right. 2 years later, I still got
You
the
still
walk.
got it.
Yeah.
And then our first date was actually, we went to dinner, and our second date was to church, and I was like, I'm marrying this man. Like,
Wow.
Well, now, whose decision was it to go to church? Was that you, Aaron?
No, I can't remember.
I can't remember. I feel like it was my church because I feel like he hadn't. Yeah, because you were. Yeah, so it was my church that.
I can't remember.
And I invited him, and he was like, yeah, like he was so into it, you know. So that was our
I
second
grew up
date.
in the church, so I guess I started on mine. So I saw her a year earlier. So I had to sit out. Give some context. I had to sit out of school for 2 years.
Okay.
So we went to the University of Texas, and I graduated in 2001, but I didn't get back in school until 2003.
Right.
So in 2002, I went to a Texas Relays. It's a track meet that's in Austin. It's huge. One of the biggest track meets that's in Austin. Me and my mom went. And we're just going to see a track meet. We sit on the front row. She walked by me. I'm like, damn. I look at her, I said, Mama, who is that? So I set up.
She had that track fit on.
Man. She was looking good, real good.
Right.
So she had, I'll never forget, she had a number 5, and I wasn't really I ran track, but I wasn't really into track like that.
Right.
So I'm thinking the number 5 bib that she wore was her number. I played football, so I'm thinking a football number, her number is 5. So I told my mom, I said, man, when I come back to school, I'm hollering at number 5. So I got back to school the year later, 2003, did my research, and she had a boyfriend at that time. So in football, you got to go to OTAs early, 2 weeks before school start.
Okay.
So I'm checking it out. I'm like, dang, where's this girl at, man? She wore number 5. No, like, nigga, ain't no number 5. What you mean? That was a lane. It was a lot of 5s out there. So I found out who she was, found out that she had a dude, so I kind of fell back. This was like in July, August. We met, she hollered at me in October. So that's how it ended up going right in. I played like I'd never seen her before, played like never knew, played like I wasn't researching her, trying to get at her. So when she called me over, I was like, oh yeah, got it.
It's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Got it.
Right. R.I.P. to the other Aaron, though. He done missed out on the wife.
Yeah, R.I.P.
So
that was it.
That's interesting because thinking about, college and just where y'all were at that point in y'all life, this is a very different place.
Oh, yeah.
Completely.
Like who y'all were, I'm sure is people,
Yes.
what your life looked like,
Yeah.
what your
Yes.
day-to-day schedule looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of that is very different. So as you guys kind of advanced through these different archetypes of kind of who you like have been becoming all the way up until who you are today, how did you guys like maintain like that togetherness throughout that process? What did you guys have to do in order to make sure you guys stay close?
It's a great question. I think we were extremely intentional, and I think the key to the success in our marriage has always been our communication. Like, we don't hold anything back. And I feel like in life there has to be one person who you can share the good, the bad, the ugly with. And that person needs to be your safe space. And I think throughout our journey, and like you mentioned, it's not just about changing a place or all that kind of stuff. You change as a person. You know what I mean? Like, you go through phases of selfishness, of all different kinds of things, and it's like you need someone who can say, babe, kind of help to steer you back on track, And so I personally think the key to our success has been we've always been extremely intentional about talking, even when it hurts, even when we don't want to. And I mean, we break down layers that most relationships, I feel, never even get close to. And I feel like we're at a place now where we love each other unconditionally. And that's a serious thing. Like, people say it, but to love someone unconditionally means without conditions. And I love my husband without conditions. But it took us a long time. It took us a while to get here. It's not something that you get in the first year of marriage. It's like, you got to go through some things.
Right.
And then you get to that place. But I would say communication.
Yeah, I mean, like Sanya said, that's a great question. I think the main thing is as we evolve, so just giving you a backstory of me. After retirement, everybody that's an athlete will understand that it's a hard transition.
Yeah.
Your world just kind of comes to an end.
Yeah.
And I became a new person overnight, mentally, everything. Went through depression, everything. And I started trying to figure out who I was. And what I found out in retrospect is I didn't take her on the journey with me.
Initially.
Wow.
Initially. So I'm growing and we're kind of growing apart to where you start seeing little things where our communication, that's what she's talking about, where our communication has to be raw and rough and honest, and this is who I am. I used to like when you wore the kinky twist. I don't like that no more.
Different tastes.
I don't lie. I'm a different person now.
Yeah.
And a part of that journey, I didn't take her on that journey with me because I was trying to find myself.
Yeah.
So I think for relationships, the main thing is we're all going to evolve as individuals, but make sure you let your spouse know and be on the ride on that journey with you.
And I want to dig into that a little bit more because I think that's something that people rarely talk about. And I think that a lot can be happening at that time. So like Ross says, when he was evolving as a person, I wasn't there yet. And so I also appreciated the fact that he gave me grace and time to be on my own journey, because now I feel like we're back in lockstep. But there was a time where he was kind of, becoming like very deep into like what it meant to be a black man.
Why you won't read this book?
Yeah, what does it mean to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm over here like, where is the, Chanel? Like, what we doing? Like, where, And he never forced me to evolve at the same pace that he was evolving as a person. And so finally, when we got, but throughout the journey, we were always communicating, always talking. I was always hearing him out, and I would be intrigued by what he was doing, but I wasn't ready to And so I think that's also an important part too, is that you might hear in a relationship like, oh, you're both evolving, but the question is, how do you do it together? Mm-hmm. And the thing is that you don't drag the person along with you. You have grace and you're patient with them. And then when the time is right, you introduce them to these new things and this new part of you. That for me, I feel like I'm having this unique new experience with my spouse. Like we have a new relationship. Like it's fresh, it's fun. Like, so it's relationships are hard, and no one gives you the exact formula on how to do it. But I think once you figure it out for yourself, it can be one of the most beautiful experiences. So hopefully that was clear. But yeah.
To put it all together, I've been married 4 times.
Wow.
I've had 4 different wives.
Wow, that's an interesting way to put that. And when I'm thinking about those gaps, because first off, that place where y'all might not have been on the same page and probably wasn't in harmony. Yeah. Just for context, how long would y'all say y'all were in that space?
I would say maybe I was in a depression for about 2 years. I don't know if we were.
I don't fully during that part we weren't that far apart. When Ross was going through his depression from sports, I think I truly understood that because I also retired around the same time.
Got you.
So I don't think that at that part, I would say probably when I felt like he was on this journey, we weren't together, probably about a year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I would say probably about a year of us really trying to.
The only reason I want context because that's hard. And
of course.
You talk about people give up.
Yes.
And I really want context for the audience because the concept of divorce is always a tricky concept for everybody because everybody's like tolerance for things are so different.
Right.
We talk about how some couples can go through things for 90 days and it's over with.
Right.
And I've seen couples talk about being in the trenches for a decade.
Right.
And they pull through. I'm not recommending.
Nor do we.
Right. But all I'm saying is I just wanted to give context on that. And because communication is something that you think or you're saying that really helped pull you guys to the next level? Y'all really gonna have to think about this one. But what was probably the hardest conversation that you guys, or one of the hardest things that you guys as a couple had to communicate in that space or period that you can think back on that you really feel like was one of those defining moments that probably took you guys to the next level as a couple?
One comes to my mind right away.
Wow.
I don't know if you have one, if you want to go first.
Go ahead, you might be the same one.
Yeah, I think one of the toughest ones was when we both became parents. I think that I had an expectation of who Ross was going to be, because there's two different things. There's the father, and there's also the co-parent, right? So he was an exceptional father, but as my co-parent, I had different expectations. And that was a hard thing to communicate, because when you're telling your partner something about that, all they hear is, I'm a bad dad, right? And I'm like, no, I'm not talking about how you interact with your son. That's amazing. I'm talking about how you're showing up for me. And so I think that was one of the hardest things for us to navigate, because I had to find a way for him to understand it in a way that didn't feel like I was beating up on his fatherhood, because he was so excited to be a dad, and he was a great dad. And so, and I think it went both ways, because I think he had expectations of me too, and I was not open to hearing nothing, because I was doing a great job in my mind. So I would say that was probably one of it. And I think that that's also a lot of times a marriage breaker, deal breaker, whenever you have a child, because it's a really hard thing to communicate. Right. Like your expectations, what you feel, to
That's the baby in the background. Y'all don't worry.
I was going to just pause and start.
You listen, it's legit family.
No, it's okay.
The family's in the back, y'all. Right. Good. We're not editing none of this out.
Okay.
We're going to play this all through.
I'm used to be like,
No, we good.
Yeah.
Listen, that's credibility. Happy family, we kids.
Right. The kids in the back right now.
Real.
Our son is here. Like you said at the top of the show, we were like, we not canceling again, and by the time we would have dropped Deuce off and come, we'd have been late. So, we're all here. Deuce is in the building.
Yes, he's in the building.
Shout out to Deuce.
But yes, I think that could be a really tricky thing to communicate. So I think that was one of the things that comes to my mind right away. I don't know if you have something else.
I think that was definitely a good one. I think mine was so much when I was on a journey, I wanted, and this was a hard conversation to have, and even a scary one for me to admit, because I was changing so much. I wanted a different wife in her. Not a different wife, physical wife.
Say it, no louder for the folks in the back.
Because I'm like, how did you communicate that with my brother?
He ain't want y'all.
And that's why it was hard to communicate. Yeah. It's like, I'm not in. During this time, I stopped being into like she said, Chanel and Gucci and all of the worldly things. I wanted to be more into family and legacy and what I felt was important to carry on, and she wasn't there yet. So it was like, don't worry about this money, man. We go get the money. Let's get this first. But like I said, she wasn't at that space yet, and that was the hardest thing for me to communicate to her, because I felt deeply about it. Like I was convinced that this was the right thing to do, and with her saying that I'm the leader of this family, that ego and pride and everything come in you, and like, well, you have to do it. Either it's like almost giving an ultimatum, and that is not the right thing to do. You know what so I had to realize that and fight through that and still love on my wife, the wife that I've been with for 14 years before that time where I went through the transition. So that was my hardest conversation that I had to have with her.
I'm curious because as a man, devotion is very important. Yeah. That's like one of the top things that you want from your woman. Right. And the thing is, we can be selfish because as soon as we want change, we immediately want our partner to change as well. So when your wife is not responsible to that change immediately, who do you go to and talk to? Who do you get counsel from to kind of talk you off the ledge from being upset and, you know, overly frustrated about that situation?
Man, I have a great mom, grandmother. Like I said earlier, I grew up in the church. From his age, I was forced to go to church. I hated it, but now that I'm older, I appreciate it because it's in me. It's in my core. And all of the friends that I grew up around, we've been friends for over 30 years. So I know they know me as AJ. They know me as that person. So I know when I go to them, they go give me the real. And sometimes, especially like my brother, he'll be like, AJ, you tripping, bro. Hey, she'll get there. Just you keep doing what you're doing. You lead and she'll follow eventually. So you lead by example. So I had great people in my inner circle that I've been around for like 30 plus years to help me through that process. And in return, help me with my marriage.
I love that.
That's important. And it reminds me of one of my favorite, spiritual coaches, leaders. I probably bring this man up every episode, but Miles Monroe. He says that it's one of our responsibilities as men is we have to cultivate every aspect of our lives, our children, our wives, everything around us. Yeah. And when I think about that, that's what I think about. Like I think about, okay, you get to this one level and now you want to bring your wife to this other level. So really at that point, it's really your responsibility at that point to cultivate this new level in your woman you want to bring her to. And I think that takes communication, that takes patience, you know, that takes all of these different virtues. And like, what did that look like? Because you saying I had to lead, right? And I had to do it by example, but like more practically, like for you to really change your wife's mindset. Right. You're talking about changing the mindset of wanting, liking luxury items. Like, what practically does that look like with you as a man to do that, to like really bring this new almost value system into your household?
So literally, I gave away everything. I gave away all of my Louis, all of my Gucci, everything. Wow. I stopped driving my S-Class and started driving a smart car. What other stuff?
Wow. He was turned into a
so
monk.
It was a sacrifice.
I was very
on
intentional.
the journey, he was really humbling himself. I think what he wanted to do was he wanted to feel confident knowing he didn't need any of those things. Because you know there comes a point in life where you feel like your value is based upon what you have.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so, you know, it was amazing. Like he cut his facial hair off. Like he really went through a very dramatic, like, you know, like not caring about his physical appearance, not caring about any of those worldly things. So that way when they're added onto us again, they are just, you know, they're just there. They're not things that we worship or, you know, care about. And so it was like he says, like when you talk about leading by example, it was a great thing for me to see him go through that level of humility, because I always say, I think anything with two heads is a monster. So it's no question in my household, my husband is the head of our household. And so I always want to be the best wife that I could be. And so seeing him do that really challenged me to say, okay, what do I need to shed myself up and humble myself up to be, first of all, I mean, the best Christian and, you know, the best woman that I could be, but then the best wife and mother. And so his examples that he set for me started to show up in my life. And I'm like, wow, like none of these things are important. The only thing, the most important thing is my relationship with God and my family. And I think the biggest thing I learned as a woman, the only woman at this table, and for the women watching is that, and I want to make sure I'm clear about this, right? Because I'm not someone who is like hung up on Gucci, Louis, all that kind of stuff. I made a reference to it, but I'm not like hoarding that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
For me, it was more about I was really fixated on I want us to get to a certain place financially now so we can rest later. You know, I want to hustle hard so by the time we're 50, I want to chill. You know, so my goals were always being out the house, working. And Ross is like, baby, like you could pull back. Like you could, you know, we're good. Like, you know, you could be home. And I'm like, no, we got to go harder. And
that's just who she is by nature, and I know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I know it's not coming from a bad place.
Right.
So that conversation is hard. Not sorry to cut you off.
No, that's okay. And so, but what I learned, and I hope to share this with all the women out there who are in a relationship where their husband or spouse is also asking them to pull back, is that what I realized was that when I honor my role as a wife and as a mother, God takes care of everything else. So I'm out here hustling, trying to do all this stuff. I'm in the streets trying to make all these things happen. When I'm home, I get the phone call. When I'm honoring my family, my husband, the opportunities are just coming to me. And so I think that we have to just always be cognizant and aware of things being in order. When my husband is happy, healthy, and thriving, he's going to kill in business. When I'm doing for my family, God's going to add to me, and it works. When it doesn't work is when everybody trying to be the head, and everybody trying to lead, and everybody out in the streets. It's like, who's taking care of the family? Who's taking care of your husband? You know what I mean? So that was a very valuable lesson for me as a woman, and very empowering. You know, people think of submission as this like thing where you whimper. No, it's actually more empowering. You know, I feel more of a woman. My husband loves on me harder. I just feel more enriched when I do what I feel like I'm called to do as a woman.
I like that you said that because people don't see that. They see you guys from the outside, the perfect life, great family, both of y'all making money, very successful, and they say, hey, you can have it all, but they don't know that having it all is coming with a level of submission on your part
100%.
from serving as this role as a wife and helpmate.
Yes, 100%.
But let me ask this too, because you said this, and what I like to do is I like to take phrases that people are typically throwing around and make it practical.
Yes.
Like this brother just broke it down for us.
Right.
So with you honoring your husband.
Yes.
I heard that so many times. I don't think y'all really know what honoring your husband. I don't even know if I really know what honoring your husband is. Let's figure it out. Because when you say you are honoring your husband, what does that look like for you?
I think honoring my husband means to please him by doing the things that I know make him happy. And especially I think when your spouse is connected to God, you know that he's leading you in a way that you should go, right? It's some men out here y'all should not be honoring or following. It's not everybody that deserves this level of honor. Right. But so the thing is, right, my husband, like he went on this journey and he became a better man in front of my eyes. He became a better human being. There's no doubt about that. And so to me, when I honor him, I'm doing what God has called me to do as a woman, which means making sure he is fed, loved, supported, and sexed.
Okay, good.
Often.
Y'all heard that, ladies. Give me your jobs.
And just, doing things that make him happy. And I think that a lot of times women will say, oh, my husband, he's this, he's not happy. Well, as a woman, it's our job to kind of figure it out. Like, I want my husband to be in the fullness of himself, because when he frees me up to be all that I could be. If he over here sad, depressed, and struggling, and I'm out here doing, I gotta take care of too many things, I got too many balls in the air. So if I prioritize my husband's happiness and his joy, then he serves me and loves on me in ways that are unimaginable. Because I feel like when a man feels like a king, he treats his wife as a queen. It's like, no doubt, whenever me and Ross were broken in our marriage and unhappy, I didn't get loved the way I wanted to be loved. He didn't treat me the way I wanted to be treated. But when we're communicating and I'm loving him, he treats me like a queen. So you get exactly what you want when you do that thing that you're called to do. So I think honoring your husband is just pleasing them.
This is why we have another one on the way.
You know what? So I'm curious about that, the sex part, right?
Yeah.
Because we've had multiple conversations about sexless marriages. And sexless marriages can range from, 30 days to some of them we've heard, our audience members, 13 years.
Woo.
Yeah.
What you said,
13
no
years
sex?
for
No
what?
sex.
No, that happens. Yeah, this
No
is
sex.
happening.
Yeah, so
This is happening.
and it is happening. Now the thing
2
is,
days.
right?
I was like a 2-day max quota.
The first couple years, you have that passionate love,
Right.
and then after that, it becomes more of the companionship.
Right.
So how
Facts.
do you all? And it's proven
Right.
that y'all still making love, right?
By the way, it's a baby
the whole
right
baby,
here.
right.
Only
It's-
right here.
Got one in the oven right now. So how do you all maintain that high level of passion?
Okay, so I'm gonna keep it super real.
Okay.
Please.
We have certainly gone through our ebbs and flows. Like when we first met, we could not keep our hands off each other, and probably for the first 7 years, it was like on and popping every day. And then you go through that phase, like you said, where you do feel more like friends, right? Like that's the priority. Especially for women, it's like he's my best friend now, and so I don't always feel like I necessarily have to serve him in that way. Even though I want to, I'm still physically attracted to him and want to. And then also too, and then forget it when you become a mom, right? And you when you become a mom and you got a little, you got a human.
Got a little beef with Deuce.
Yeah.
Little beef.
You gotta get to your room, man. Put him in his room right now.
But not only that, too, as a woman, too, like you're breastfeeding and you don't feel sexy anymore. Like this body feels like a tool now. Like I'm using my body to keep a human being alive. I'm not thinking about sexing you when I'm doing that. You know what I mean?
I tell her she looks sexy pregnant, man.
Well,
it turned me on.
Deuce, what is it, baby? It's not the time to come over here now. We're talking. What happened, baby? Are you okay? It's so, yeah, we're almost finished. Put your headphones back on. You're doing a great job.
He's seen when the conversation was going.
Right. See, he's still blocking.
Still.
So as a woman, you just don't feel as sexy. So it's really hard to convert that, like, I'm serving my son and, being that kind of mom to then now being like this freak in the bedroom. And so you do go through phases. But I do think, once again, with Ross and I, it's always about communicating. And so, even when I'm struggling with that, I talk to him about it. And he's like the most patient and compassionate man. He's always like, okay, baby, like what can I do to help you feel more sexy? What can I do to make you want to do it? And, one of the things I think that women try to communicate with men all the time is that we want to be made love to all day. Mm-hmm. Like, don't be like discarding me that nighttime thing. I'm going to be feeling all sexy.
It's 11 o'clock, baby.
Right?
You sleep?
Exactly. It's not going to work. Like, you got to make me feel like loved on all day. And then at nighttime or whenever time is appropriate, we can do the thing. But yeah, it hasn't always, we haven't always been just on like a 10. We're in a really good phase in our marriage right now. But that was intentional. And like we do little things during the daytime and send text messages and we do all of those things. And like I said too, like Ross said, we're in like this fourth stage of our marriage where we're two different people. So it's like fun. We're exploring each other again, but you have to be intentional. You have to want it. You have to communicate and you have to be willing to like stick it out even when it's hard. Cause it's worth it when you come on the other side of it. Yeah.
And see, the thing about it is I already know, like, you, Sanya, you a beast.
Thank you.
Okay. So like, you are managing a lot. You got your career going. Mm-hmm. You have your family. You got your husband you got to take care of. He got needs. Mm-hmm. You got your son that also you gotta tend to. Right. And also, I mean, you on TV. It's like it's so much.
Yeah.
So when I'm thinking about that, like, does that have an effect with like how do you balance, all of what's going on in your life? Mm-hmm. With still being it, like, does that affect your intimacy? Like, and the levels, does that make it more erratic or harder to get your mind in that place?
Yes.
Good question.
Yes, that's a really, really, really good question. And I would say, I don't know what balance is. There's no such thing as balance in my life. What I have tried to always do is to be fully present doing the thing that I'm doing. Because I think that especially as moms, you can have a lot of mom guilt if I'm like out doing something and I'm away from home. It's like I'm like, no, when I'm here, I'm gonna give 100%, but when I'm with my son, he gonna get 100% of me too.
Yeah.
And I guess in some ways, yes. Like I feel like there was a point when when we talked.
Say the communication.
Yeah, when we talked about like that phase in our marriage that we struggled with, and I kind of referenced Gucci and stuff. I was really talking about more the hustle and stuff. I realized a lot. I had to challenge myself, like. I'm doing all this stuff in the streets and in the road, for work and stuff, and I'm giving the last part of me to my husband. I'm giving him the least, the tired part of me, the stressed out part of me, and giving the world my best. And so, yes, it definitely does impact your intimacy, just because it's just a lot of places to be being pulled, and a lot of things pulling my energy. And that's where I had to kind of get honest and pull back. And say, okay, family's first. I'm gonna give them my first.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is gonna get what's left.
And keep it real, like, when you were younger, envisioning what your family would look like, and even your wife, kind of the role she would play. Did you see yourself? Was it ideal to you to have a high power wife? Like you have now?
That's a very good question. I await to the answer.
So I should put him in the hot seat.
I await the answer patiently.
Honestly, I didn't. When I was younger, I didn't envision marriage.
He thought he was gonna be just out here in these streets and
Player for life.
Yeah, player for life.
The athlete lifestyle.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So I
okay.
never really envisioned the whole family thing. I didn't have a family. I had my mom, my grandma. My pops wasn't in the picture.
Okay.
So I didn't see what that family dynamic was like. I had a stepfather, but he came in a little later. Amazing stepdad, but I didn't have my father. So we were together for 14 years before we had our first son. I used to tell her all the time that we're not a family. We're married.
And I used to be very offended by that.
But we're not a family. I don't feel like we're a family.
We're married. We're family. He's like,
I don't feel that. I don't feel like a family. I feel like this is what I grew up in, just a couple. When we had our son, that's when everything changed to where I was like, okay, now I'm the man of this family. I need to make sure I need to raise him to make sure he's doing the right things for his son. So I'm thinking more on that level and making sure I have the right woman by my side to make sure our legacy can carry on. That's when I started to think about family. But early on, I was an athlete. Just I wasn't thinking. I was just, this is my woman.
Yeah.
I knew that. This is my lady.
You know, I think you guys are uncovering a lot in this interview as we talk about like the growth of our relationship. Because you hear that, right?
Yeah.
So we're this amazing couple. We're a twosome up until we have Deuce. We have Deuce. I'm feeling we're going to keep moving in the same direction. And this light bulb goes off for my husband and he goes left. Right? He starts to envision our family as this different thing, this legacy thing, all this stuff. And that's just not how we have moved prior to Deuce. And so that's when we talk about that time in our marriage from having Deuce to about, when he was 3 or 4, I feel like that's what changed my husband a lot. And I had to I had to jump on board with that mentality. Like, no, this is how we got to move now. Like we are, it's not like I'm out here doing this, you out here doing that. And then we got to be moving as one. We got to move differently. Yeah. And I think
we're
that was
a real team now.
Yeah, that was a big shift and a lot that we had to communicate about to be able to get to where we are right now.
Right.
Wow. So that's interesting. So I see, and it's so interesting because first of all, just so we can get context, y'all been college sweethearts. Y'all been together for 20 years.
Yep.
18.
Married.
No, this is 20.
No, when you were 18.
Oh, when I was 18.
You about to get checked on?
Right.
20 years and married for 13.
Yep.
Yep.
Was it 13?
Yep.
You was a little slow on that one there.
Yeah.
You gotta get on her now.
Right.
That's right.
So I can already know like just all the things that goes with, advancing through that much time with somebody. So just for context, I wanted the audience to get a picture of that. And I understand how parenthood affects just the relationship because most of the issues that we hear our members in our community talk about happens is typically when the child actually comes into the picture.
Oh, yeah.
I've actually heard that most people say that marriage doesn't even affect the relationship as much as the child does. The child is actually a bigger influence and
100%.
impact.
I agree with that.
100%.
Okay, when did you guys make the decision to go ahead and have your
Kid?
first child? Yeah.
Oh, well, we waited. I mean,
It was
waited.
planned?
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
We didn't have our first child until 14 years into our marriage, so we waited until I
Relationship.
retired. Yeah. So we were married. We were dated for 7 years, and then we got married. And when we got married, Ross had just started in the league. I was pro for about a year or two by then. And then we did our full professional career. So Ross did his 9-year run in the league. I did mine next. I was 13 years pro.
Yeah.
And then so we had our child literally right after I retired in 2016. So he was planned for sure. Like people were waiting on us. Like, what are y'all doing? When are we getting a kid?
Right.
And it was a different time, right? I think when we had our kid, most professional female athletes weren't having kids while they were competing. That was like taboo. Now you find that athletes will, like Naomi Osaka, a lot of people will stop, Shelley and Fraser Price, have a kid and then go back and compete. That really wasn't a thing as much when I was competing. And so, yeah, we waited to the end of our professional careers and had our kid in 2017. So he was planned and still was a tornado.
Right.
Still was like, touchdown, like, what up?
Like, oh, shoot, wasn't expecting this.
We weren't expecting this. You can't prepare for what that dynamic is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, marriage might change because now y'all live in the same house full time or whatever. There's
Right.
like minor changes. But when you become a parent, you don't know what the kid is going to be like, and you don't know what your partner is going to be like as a parent. So it definitely adds a whole different level to the relationship that a lot of times you can't predict.
Yeah.
Now, it can be some, because we talked a little bit earlier about Aaron going through that level of depression.
Yeah.
And some of the things that you did to support him. So, Aaron, I want to ask you, was there any, because there's a lot, you know, especially on our show, we always talk about that, how the woman supports the man through an emotional turmoil. But Aaron, was there a time that you can recall throughout the relationship where there was just some heavy emotional turmoil for your wife where you had to step up and support her through it?
The whole relationship. Where you want me to start?
That was a good one. That was good.
No, let me see. My wife is
Excuse me.
she's very emotionally connected to whatever she's doing. So
That's a nice way to put it.
Passionate.
so like I said, each phase of our life, whether it was the first phase where we were athletes, it was a lot of, baby, it's gonna be all right. It's, during the whole
sun's
time.
gonna come up tomorrow. You're not
Right,
gonna die.
you're all right. So I can't name one specifically because I think just by her nature, she needed that emotional. In
2008 when I lost the Olympics, where I was favored to win gold, I got the bronze. That was one of my lowest times in my career. And I always tell people I'm so grateful my husband was an elite athlete, because I don't think any person would have understood the level of depression and trauma I felt by winning a bronze medal. People are like, girl, it's like, no, it was big.
Serious.
And so I remember most of the athletes went and competed that next week, and I went home and I was with my husband. And I think what he's saying is that there's been plenty of times like that in our relationship where, because I am so emotionally vested in everything that I do, my heart's broken if it doesn't go the way I want it to go. And if it weren't for him being there and bolstering me up, then it would be hard for me to recover. And so this is, to me, a mutually beneficial kind of emotional relationship, because I lean on him a lot. I need a sounding board for a lot of things.
Hey, don't worry about them chicks on Housewives, man. Don't worry about them.
The new journey we're on.
Don't worry about it, man.
Yeah. You're going to be all right. So, yeah, he's been there for me a lot emotionally.
Because I asked, because it's, men, that seems to be one of the biggest issues, is being able to handle the emotional ups and downs that your woman is having throughout. Yeah. Whether it's, just little minute, exhibits of frustration, or if it's something big.
Yeah.
And we get men, we actually did a whole show on it, why a woman disrespects you, why she might disrespect you. So Aaron, I'm sure it happens, right? Because we had a show, we talked about how good women can disrespect you.
Right.
So when your wife does things that you would consider disrespect, how do you address those?
Babe, what the hell is going on with you?
Just like that.
Basically, now we like she said, our main thing is communicating. When I feel disrespected, she knows right in that moment.
I know immediately.
She knows.
You're not
right.
gonna let it just pile up and like.
No.
Nah.
Okay.
The thing about my husband, sorry, I always cut you off.
Go ahead, you good, baby.
It's because I'm experiencing him, so I think I can speak to it better. But the thing about Ross is that he's so cool until he's not. So if something happens, I know, because he's so laid back. Like, he lets me slide. My sister's always like, you got the best husband in the world, girl, because I don't know who else could put up with you. But if I do something where I feel like he's like, you're going too far, I know, because his whole demeanor will change. And then we'll have the conversation. My husband will never call me out, or he'll never disrespect me in front of people purposefully. In the same way, I don't intend to do it either. But I know, pull it back, and then we'll talk about it later. And so his disposition changes, because he's just he's just such a cool, calm guy, and I get away with so much that whenever it's like you're doing the most, I'm like, okay, all right, reel that back in a little bit.
See, I already know. Listen, I'm dating a Jamaican woman too, so I already know.
Right.
Exactly.
That's a fiery woman right there.
Give me a little grace.
And I want to ask you guys, and this is probably gonna be pretty deep too, because you've experienced something that I personally experienced, something I think a lot of women experience that I don't think we talk about much, but I think is very important to talk about. because I did hear through reports and through the grapevine that you personally actually experienced before now your successful pregnancy and miscarriage.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to talk about that because that's something that happens, and it's a part of, you know, it can be a part of a woman's journey, and it could be an interesting place for a man because that might be another place that you might have to actually support your wife in an emotional state that you may have never seen her in.
Right.
So can you talk to that? Can you talk back to that place that you were in?
Yeah.
Like when that happened?
Yeah. Man, it's a really difficult experience, and I founded an organization called Mommy Nation 4 years ago, which is a blog and community resource for Black moms after having Deuce, and I have heard it all through that.
Yeah.
Through that community, but I'm telling you, it's nothing like experiencing that for yourself. So for people who had followed our journey, I wasn't sure if I wanted to have a second child for a while, obviously. And it was a conversation, a point of contention for Ross and I for years because Ross wanted another child for sure. And I was afraid of what it might do to our marriage again. I wasn't sure my capacity as a woman to love another human being. I felt like I was at my capacity with my husband and my son and all the things that I was doing, and I didn't want to break, you know? And so I was like, I'm just not ready. And I'm grateful my husband gave me grace to make the choice and didn't force me and waited for me to be ready. But after about 5.5 years, I felt like my son was in a good place, our marriage was in a good place. I'm like, okay, let's do this. And the thing about when you become pregnant as a woman is that the moment you become pregnant and you accept that this pregnancy is something you want, you become a mom. Like you are welcoming this future baby into your life, and you start to move like you have another kid, you know? And so when I found out that the pregnancy wasn't viable, it was crushing. Because I hate to say it, but I'm used to getting good news. I'm not someone that gets a lot of bad news. So even when the doctor came in and said I don't have good news, I thought she was going to say I got great news. I thought she was going to say we had twins or something. I never thought she was going to say that the pregnancy wasn't viable. And so, you know, it was dealing with that part, the mental part of the loss, but then I dealt with an extremely traumatic physical experience. And I wasn't with my husband. I was in New York working, and started to lose a lot of blood. I fainted, had to go to the hospital, get a blood transfusion. And it was really, really hard, really hard, because in that moment, that's when I realized how important family was to me and how much I wanted to be a mom again. And it was hard because, you know, obviously I'm 38 years old now, so it's considered a geriatric pregnancy. I feel like I'm 28, but my body is certainly 38. And so I wasn't sure, would it happen again? Would I go through that again? Because the other part too is like, I don't want to go through that again.
Right.
I don't want to get pregnant and lose. Like I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy.
Right.
So you just start to go through a whole lot mentally around how special it is to be able to become pregnant and be a mom. And dealing with that loss was certainly hard, but it was made easier because we got pregnant like a month later. And then obviously
locked and loaded.
Always sitting already. So God is good. So I'm happy to, you know, now be looking forward to the birth of our second child, and my son can't wait to be a big brother. It's just a great.
That's dope.
Yeah,
That's dope.
Yeah,
That's dope.
It's really dope.
And Aaron, for you, like throughout that time in that period, like what's the best thing that a man should do if he's in that position? Like what's the best role you should play in that seat?
Man, I felt helpless. Not being there while she's going through. I can't drive her to the hospital. I can't see what she's going through. I felt helpless at that time. So the only thing that I was able to do was just be like, baby, it's all right, calm down. Help is on the way, just kind of reassuring her that everything is gonna be all right. I'm not there to help. So just lucky that she was able to get people around her that we know in New York to get her to the hospital. So I felt helpless, man. It was the worst situation for me to be in. I can't get on the plane. I can get on the plane, but it's gonna be over by the time I get there. So it's like, what can I do? And I think that was just as bad of a situation it was for her, I felt that same pain being away from her while she was going through it. So hopefully that answered your question.
No, I get it, but because even if you were, like, I guess just more, if I can just get like conceptually, because Sanya, if you could put the fellas on game, how should a man best support you, period?
Yeah.
In that time, there, not there, like,
Right.
What is his role?
I think just being very supportive. I think that women go through a lot mentally and physically during that time. So it's about reassuring her that it's not her fault, that, you know, everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. It's going to happen in God's timing.
Right.
And I think just, I think the other thing too that I learned, not just from the miscarriage, but also pregnancy and first couple of stages of having a child, is that, you know, your hormones as a woman and stuff is off. And I think sometimes men don't appreciate how much our bodies change and how that has an impact on us mentally as well. And so I think as a man, it's about just giving your woman space to heal. You know, like, you know, she might do or say things that are out of character, giving her some space to, you know, be like, okay, cool. Like, I know you've been through a lot, baby. Like, you know, whatever. However you relate to your partner, like, give her the space. She's just
tripping right now,
yeah,
man.
give her the space. Or get her some flowers to brighten her day, because, you know, it impacts some women worse than others. Like, since I went through my miscarriage, I've been in communication with a lot of women, and some of the stories are next level. You know, mine still, I feel like, is mild compared to someone who have 5 or 6 miscarriages back to back, or have it later on where they have to deliver the baby. Like, it can get worse. And so I just think as men, it's about just really being there, listening to your partner, supporting her, making her feel like she's still special, she's still worthy, she's still the world. And then, you know, obviously, hopefully, you know, being able to try again if that's what you guys both want. But it can be a really difficult situation.
Worthy. So you said worthy because in that place that you in, is that like some of the feeling there? Like, I'm not, like, you kind of lose your self-worth as a woman?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, a lot of women, if you think about it, when you get to a certain age, I mean, I already have a kid, thank God. But when you get to a certain age, it's like, if you don't have a child, it's like, you do feel sometimes like you're not living up to the standards that a woman should live up to, right? There are women who can't carry a child, who feel like there's something wrong with me.
Right.
Like, am I just not worthy of this blessing? And so, yes, that can definitely be a feeling, emotion that women have that's really difficult for them to get past, if they struggle with childbirth. I knew it was gonna happen, y'all.
You're making a cameo.
Hey, go ahead, dude. Get Deuce on camera. Go ahead. Let them see.
Deuce, what's popping?
Dude, first of all, as a kid, I would not have been able to sit back there as long as he has. So
he been being patient.
He has been being patient. He like, yo, speed this whole interview thing up.
But this is what they want to see. This is a happy family, a beautiful family.
Wave at everybody.
Wave at the camera, babe. He cracks when he pretends like he's shy. He's not. He's a terror.
I want to ask this.
Okay.
For this next question, stay with us and then you gotta go back.
Yeah, you can. So I want to ask this question here because, first of all, good game, because I think that was a good framework. Reassure your lady.
Yeah.
Make her feel like it wasn't her fault. Build up her confidence and her worthiness again in the place that she might be in. And that's good game.
And give her time.
And give her time and patience to come back. And I want to, and I just had this in my mind. I knew I was going to ask y'all this before I let y'all get up out of here, though, because I know y'all are on, this is season 2 for you?
Yes.
On Housewives? Okay. And I'm rooting for y'all.
Thank you.
I'm rooting for y'all, all right? Because it's like a bad reputation with these housewives. Yeah. And what ends up happening? Y'all already know the situation. It's
you mean with marriage? Make it plain.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
With marriage, so there's like a whole housewives curse.
Yeah.
God forbid, it's not gonna happen here.
No, it's not gonna
We're not claiming that over here.
No.
Yeah.
But it's like a whole situation where, and I don't know if it's because you kind of bring that drama or that energy into your relationship, because I can imagine it's a lot on y'all. So what are y'all doing to fortify your marriage to protect all that can potentially come with y'all bringing that into the marriage?
Yes. So once again, we have been very intentional about protecting our marriage. And I think that I've said this before, and I'll say it again. If I ever felt like anything was gonna come between my husband and I'd be off that show so fast. You would have thought I was Usain Bolt, not Sanya, which is Ross. So I have my priorities. You know what I mean? Like, my family comes first. And so I saw the Real Housewives of Atlanta and still see it as a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity to be in front of a new audience. My goal has been to show Black love and excellence, and to show Black women not as a monolith. You know, I think as I've been evolving on this show too, and dealing with all the criticism and stuff, where I've come to at this moment right now, it's like, we're not all the same. It's okay if I'm not the wittiest and I'm not on your neck and I'm not trying to argue with you and I'm trying to bring peace and I'm trying to show love. That should be okay, because Black women are that too.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so for me, I haven't been clear on a couple of things, but I've been very clear on my marriage. And I will not sacrifice anything for my marriage. It won't be no story, no storyline, no nothing that involves anything that I feel is so vulnerable in my marriage that if the petty section were to get in, it could ruin my marriage.
Yes.
It's off limits. So I think that, we went in with that. I went in knowing that, and I'm going to stand true to that for as long as I'm on any reality platform. And that's just that, you know what I mean? Like, it's my family first, my marriage first. I'll get into it with the girls. We can do all the other stuff, but it's not going to go down in my house. Because if it weren't for my husband, I wouldn't be where I am, and I'm not going to sacrifice or risk that. And then we also stay extremely prayerful. Like, I made a post the other day. I said, Lord, I got to make a public prayer, because it was just like divorce after divorce, and not just on reality TV, just period.
Yes.
And I'm just like, Lord, please protect what I have, because people think that this grass is growing on the other side. It's not. It is where you water it.
Yes.
And Ross and I have built such a beautiful foundation. I don't want to risk it. So we're prayerful about it, intentional about it, and my man. Mine.
I like that.
Yo, Aaron gives me these vibes of like this kind of like low key, like you probably like he probably only on this podcast because you on here. Like he kind of got that whole vibe to him. Right. So like when you like if it was up to Aaron, it wouldn't be no cameras. Period.
Oh no.
I get that whole vibe.
Oh,
I get that whole vibe. So. Like, was that a concern for you? Like,
Definitely.
What was okay?
Definitely. Be honest.
Of course.
Okay.
We got to. We got to.
Of course.
Yeah.
Not too. Don't go too. Let's get a little bit.
They're trying to go back for another season.
Right.
Don't piss off the execs.
That is funny.
But yes, from the very beginning, when she got the call to have this opportunity, I wasn't with it, because just what you said, it's a whole stigma out there that marriages don't work when it comes to reality TV, and so that was a huge concern for me, and
Go ahead, man.
So so I just reached out to the producers, asked them if we could have a meeting. I told them what we stood for, what we wasn't going for. Told them basically just
put some boundaries on.
Yeah, as long as he could be himself, authentic.
Yeah,
he never wanted us to act or anything like that. And what he did was, whenever she came to me, he was like, "We could do it, but I got to talk. I need to know what they doing, who's doing what.
Why? I need to know the why. Yeah. Why y'all? What do y'all see in us to bring to this show? We're not with the drama. Drama happens in our life, in real life.
Right.
So if it's real drama, I'm with it. We can handle it. But if it's made up drama, we ain't trying to do that. Legacy. So I didn't want to jeopardize that. So they kind of told me what I needed to hear.
Yeah.
And basically, they to be honest, they've been allowing me to be myself. I have no complaints about the show. To be honest with you, it's been all right. I wasn't with it at first though. I really wasn't. I was very protective and
apprehensive.
Everything. I was kind of standoffish and trying to watch what's going on, what storyline they're trying to put out there. I felt like I had to put on that protective shield at first. But the first season went by, and I had
Don't mess with my wife.
I like that. The big dog came in there.
Like, bro,
had to throw some execs against the wall.
Shout out to you, bro. Because like, let me tell you something. That is like, and that is a protector.
Yes.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care if it's no media opportunity. I don't care. I'm not selling out for my family. I don't want no drama on my doorstep. I don't care how much views, how much money we can make. I don't want no drama in my home, in my household. And if I got to sit these execs down and tell them what's not about to happen, just so I can make sure I keep peace in my home, so we can continue to make this house, this legacy, this family flourish, then that's just what we're going to have to do.
I really like that, because I think a lot of men are afraid of being disagreeable, but it's our nature. Right. And not everything that we want to put in place structure-wise and formation-wise, our wife is always going, or our significant other is always going to be down with it.
Right.
But if it's for the betterment of the family and your spouse, then she'll eventually come around to it. So I'm glad you stood on that. That's dope.
She was mad at me for a minute.
I bet she was. I bet she was.
Mad at me for a minute.
I get it. But that really, to me, is all the signs of a strong man. You know, like because it's leadership is not sexy all the time.
It's ugly.
And you can't make everybody happy all the time.
Right.
But if your heart is focused on making sure that the greater good of your family is in the best place, then that is what a great leader is. Sometimes you're going to piss everybody off for everybody. Right? For everybody. And that's just what it is. And I have absolute respect for all of y'all, because y'all came in here and y'all let us up under the hood of that joint.
Yes, we did.
A little bit.
I felt like this was a damn therapy session.
Yeah,
that's how it's supposed to feel.
And that's exactly
we
what
said
our
a lot of
say.
things we've never talked about.
Yeah, I felt like this was
I feel like as we talked, it was like unraveling more and more
Right.
stuff. So it was amazing. I appreciate that.
And
Yeah,
I'm a
appreciate
thinker,
y'all.
so a lot of the answers that you got out of me, I don't like to say without thinking them through.
Thinking more,
Yeah,
Yeah.
y'all did a good job.
Hey, and if you think we did a good job, let us know down here in the comments. Thank you guys so much for actually taking here and making it this far in the episode. I want you guys to let us know your thoughts of this episode. Let me know what was your favorite moment, what you took away from this joint down here in the comments.
Drop a champion in the chat.
Oh.
We got these world-class athletes.
Yes.
It's love.
Yes.
It's
And if
love.
you ain't got nothing, drop the champion at least in here, because we in here rocking with the champs. And what I love is y'all are champions, man, on and off the field.
Thank you.
Because to do what y'all are doing, and I love even how you guys present yourselves on TV.
Thank you.
Like, you guys definitely are one of the people, because we talk about this, we don't have enough good examples and sexy examples of like making marriage just look good. You know what I'm saying? Like, marriage still has this stigma of like brothers feel like they about to get their life away. Like it's like it's like a life.
Right.
I did my life sentence, man. 20 years. Life sentence.
That's how brothers
Look too hard on
it's
that.
like a whole life sentence. Like, it's almost like a don't do it. But we need more Huxtables. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, we need more Rosses in the game. That's gonna do it at the highest level.
Yeah.
And that's gonna keep it righteous at the highest level.
Let me tell you this, Tyshawn. God has a blessing for you in marriage that he does not have for you in singleness. And so do not walk away or run away from marriage. There's nothing like doing life with someone who you are in lockstep with, who you know supports you, who loves you. It's nothing like it, you know? And I think you're right. I think that the way that society is right now, it's like people feel, I can do it by myself. I don't need nobody. Trust me. There are days when you will need somebody to bolster you up and to hold you down. And I know it's not easy to find the right person, because, you know, people have on masks and, you know, appear to be a certain way. But when you can peel that back and uncover your gem,
find it.
woo, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
When you find your person, especially as a man, she's made me become the best person I could be. I've done it for her, you know what I mean? Of course for myself, but having a responsibility for her and my family, I want to be the best version of myself I can be.
To this day!
I don't know if I would have wanted to be that if I was just by myself. You know what I mean? I have a why now, and my why is my family. So if you find that right one, rock with it. It'll make you the best version of yourself that you can be.
Fellas, you heard with it, man.
Yeah,
if you find that right one, lean with it, rock with it. All right? Don't wait. Lean with it, rock with it. And look, y'all, do me a favor, y'all. Before we go ahead and end this one out, please subscribe and like this channel so we can help this thing get pushed to as many people as possible, because we need to be spreading videos like this, messages like this. This gonna save some folks. And Deuce like, I'm ready to go. He about to get back on camera. Put Deuce back on camera because we about to get up out of here.
Yes,
but y'all already know, hardly initiated, we are out. Peace. Yeah.
That was dope, y'all.